Tonight on Joy News Prime, Ghana's COVID-19 case count has gone up by 122 to a total of 5,530, with the number of recoveries also increasing to 674. Government, meanwhile, says it is contemplating a law that could see people who refuse to wear nose masks in public serve time in jail.
You will see the police arresting some of us who are becoming too recalcitrant. And if you are jailed for 3 months for not wearing the mask in public, probably will take a cue from that.
The health minister is meanwhile urging Ghanaians to prepare to adapt their lifestyles to the dictates of COVID-19.
What we have to do now is to live with it and manage ourselves against it.
And there are those asking whether the admonition is part of efforts to prepare Ghanaians for a lifting of the restrictions. Also in the bulletin, a 24-year-old private security guard is behind bars pending his trial for allegedly spreading fake news on social media.
Corona is not killing Ghanaians, and it will not kill any Ghanaian. Why? Because they be amunum soboro. That was a silly thing I did, and I regret it so much.
And the 27-year-old man who tortured his 3-year-old son for bedwetting has pleaded not guilty in his first appearance in court on Thursday. And in business,
Ghana's advertising industry loses 100 million Ghana cedis to COVID-19.
I'm talking about 80% of our employees now have been sent home, and that is translating, I'm talking about loss about over 100 million within this short phase of time in terms of revenue to the advertising industry.
Also coming up in the bulletin, the opposition NDC and its main rival, the governing NPP, have been casting aspersions at each other in a long-running debate over the compilation of a new voters register for the 2020 election this December.
It does appear that the Jimensa-led EC, ably supported by the Kenatifa-led NIA, are only interested in rigging the 2020 general elections.
It is not the fault of NPP that the NDC chose to bring back as their 2020 presidential candidate the very same man who gave Ghana the worst economic growth performance since 1994.
I'm Israel Lion. Remember, Joy News Prime is live on digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air.
And I'm Aisha Ibrahim, coming to you live from our studio in Kokomlimle on digital address GA09925339. Also on Go TV channel 144 and DSTV channel 421. Please stay with us.
In our very first story, 122 more cases have been added to Ghana's COVID-19 case count since the last update on Wednesday, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 5,530. The good news, though, is that a lot more recoveries than cases were added, taking the total number of recoveries to 674, with the death toll still at 24. Now, here's how the 5,530 cases are distributed amongst the various regions. All right, we don't have that for you, but there are still 3 regions yet to record a COVID-19 case. They are the Savannah, Ahafo, and Bono East regions. Meanwhile, government is contemplating a law that will see people who refuse to wear nose masks in public serve time in jail. This Health Minister Kweku Agyeman says has become necessary because too many people are refusing to comply with social distancing and hygiene protocols introduced to help curb the spread of coronavirus. At Thursday's news conference on Ghana's COVID-19 situation, he implored Ghanaians to come to terms with the fact that COVID-19 has come to stay and therefore the need for everyone to adapt to living with the virus. Government, meanwhile, says ongoing engagement with various identifiable groups, including schools and churches, on how to ease the COVID-19 restrictions does not mean that their proposals have been adopted. Joseph Akable has highlights of the news conference.
The new cases confirmed That added to what we reported 122, with the distributions in Greater Accra 57, Ashanti Region 62, Central Region 2, and Western North 1. 2 more new deaths were added up, bringing the death toll to 24, with 24 deaths among 5,530 cases. The death to positivity rate, which we term as the case fatality rate, stands at 0.43%.
With infections rising by the day, government wants Ghanaians to stick to safety protocols. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu says the virus is here to stay.
Coronavirus has come to live with us. It will have nowhere to go, and we'll have to live with it. There are several diseases that we live with. Malaria has been with us for how long now? HIV/AIDS came. We have never been able to take it off. We still live with it. H1N1 is still around. We live with it. There are several other diseases that we live with. Non-communicable diseases, they don't get spreading and they are not infectious. But when you get it, you live with it. And the word that we all use is managing to live with the disease. The impact is severe, very, very severe elsewhere, because people are dying in numbers. Here in our country, we are now seeing community spread, but we are not dying. Dr. Badu Sarkodie will come and give you numbers again. Our death rate is quite low. That does not mean that we should allow ourselves to be infected with the disease.
Information Minister Kojo Oponkroma says the presidency is holding meetings with identifiable groups on life after the restrictions.
Government envisages that in the coming weeks, it will need to outline a gradual plan for a post-restrictions era. Pursuant to this, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has commenced engagements with various stakeholders on safety measures that can allow an easing of the restrictions without compromising the health of the population.
The Ghana Tourism Authority has been in the news since it announced that drinking spots could reopen. The Tourism Ministry overturned that directive. Minister Barbara Otinjesi has been offering this explanation.
An inadvertent indication of drinking bars being exempt in the EI 64. When you look at clause 1 of the EI, which lists activities that are banned, it includes nightclubs and drinking bars. But when you get to the clause where they indicate the exemptions, all the activities that are listed under exemptions are not captured under clause 1, imposition of restrictions. So we have given it a purposive interpretation to indicate that the inclusion of drinking bars in clause 4 under exemptions was inadvertent on the part of the draftsman, and therefore right from the beginning of application of the ban on public gatherings, drinking bars as well as nightclubs were banned from operating. The status quo remains. Drinking bars, nightclubs are not open. Food chains, restaurants can operate per the guidelines that we have given in respect of takeout and delivery services.
Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu meanwhile says the police will begin arresting persons who refuse to wear masks.
And I believe soon you will see the police arresting some of us who are becoming too recalcitrant. And if you are jailed for 3 months for not wearing the mask in public, probably we'll take a cue from that.
Health economist Dr. Patrick Esuming of the University of Ghana Business School joins us on phone to share with us what he makes of Ghanaians being told they need to come to terms with living with the virus. Thank you very much, Dr. Esuming. Now, it is clear at some point life will have to return to some form of normalcy. When will be the ideal time for this to happen in a pandemic situation like this?
Good evening, and thanks for having me. And good evening to our listeners, our viewers. So, I think, as the health minister said, the COVID is going to be with us for a while. We just need to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, in fact, the WHO had also said the same, that this COVID is here to stay. So, it's obviously, we are only going to get back to normal when either an effective treatment has been found or a vaccine has been found. Now, in terms of when will be a good time.
But that's, Dr. Sumi, that's going to take a really long time.
Yes, that's really going to take a long time. I think that's why they are saying we have to now start getting used to living with the virus for a while. So, making some adjustments to our life. I think at the moment we've been told that we have to wear masks and keep social distancing. And as we can see, that is not going too well. It looks like so many people are not really bothered to put on the mask. And so many people are not practicing the social distancing. So it appears that we need to strengthen the measures. There's been an announcement that there's going to be now prosecutions. It seems to me that maybe before that, we should sort of engage the religious leaders a little bit more to get involved in encouraging their members to adhere to the protocols, and also reach out to the traditional rulers to get all of them involved, so that when we get to a point where we know that the compliance with the social distancing and other restrictions, other measures are really being complied with, then we can start easing, easing the restrictions on gathering, public gathering, and the social gathering. I think the restrictions on the borders will have to continue for a while.
So for you, you'd want to see that people are complying with the protocols before we consider lifting the restrictions?
Absolutely. I think at the moment that is our surest way of ensuring that when we ease the restrictions, we don't see another spike. We have seen that in Germany and in other places, the moment they started easing the restrictions, there has been some small spikes. So, and this is a place where I imagine that people are a little bit more compliant than we are. So until we get to a point where we are sure that people are really not going to flout the social distancing protocols and the wearing of the mask, I think it might be a little bit premature to ease the restrictions.
Thank you very much. Health economist Dr. Patrick Assuming of the University of Ghana Business School with his thoughts there. Moving on, the Ghana Health Service says it has formulated an appropriate response plan to deal with the surge in COVID-19 case count in Obuasi. Director General Dr. Patrick Abadji, who is leading a team of experts in the mining town, tells my colleague Ohiming Teria the response team is equipped with an appropriate plan after several meetings with stakeholders, including officials of the two assemblies, health personnel, and opinion leaders. The Obuasi and Obuasi East assemblies have recorded about 70% of the total number of coronavirus cases in the Ashanti region. The response comes with reinforcement of the medical staff as two adjoining districts, Adansi North and Adansi Asonkwa, volunteer personnel to help speed up contact tracing. Ohiming Teria is on the ground in Obuasi right now and joins me with the very latest. Ohiming, what more can you report, or what has been happening today? All right, before then, let's listen to this soundbite.
To work with a team in the district to look at, first assess the situation, and then help them draft an appropriate response, which they're already doing. So we met opinion leaders, we met the MCE, and we met the health team, and we have finished our plan and see how we can quickly control the situation in Obuasi.
Right, and Ohiming is on the line now with us. So, Ohiming, what more do you have to add to what the Director General of the Ghana Health Service has been saying?
Thank you, Israel. Today, it was a marathon meeting, series of meetings for the Ghana Health Service, a team from Accra, led by Dr. Patrick Abuaje, and then Director of Surveillance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Asiedu Bequin. First, they met with the medical team working on the COVID-19 in the Obuasi enclave for Obuasi Municipal Assembly and then Obuasi East District Assemblies. After that, they also met with the two district chief executives, Elijah Adansibona for Obuasi Municipal and Faustina Amisa of the Obuasi East District Assemblies, and also with opinion leaders, where they discussed the possible plan to deal with the spread of COVID-19 in the Obuasi. For the past weeks, Obuasi has seen an upsurge in COVID-19 cases from the one that was recorded about 2 months ago to 511. That's the latest figures I am picking up here. If you compare the figures, then it means that Obuasi alone is contributing not less than 70% of the Ashanti regional figures. The Ashanti Regional Health Directorate is supporting the efforts to control the surge in COVID-19 cases in Obuasi. The Regional Health Directorate has already contributed 20 medical personnel to support the already active team in Obuasi. And then the Ghana Health Service, the national headquarters, also comes in with personnel to assist. Just as the meeting was closing, then we learned that the two adjoining districts, Adanse, Asokwa, and then Adanse North, are also contributing medical personnel to support the contact tracing activities of Obuasi. This comes as a sign of relief, especially to residents of Obuasi. Some who are, though there are still mixed feelings, some believe that the COVID-19 is not prevalent in Obuasi. There are others who are of thought that yes, the condition or the disease is real. So it comes as a relief for the entire enclave of Obuasi. It also comes at the time that the Municipal Assembly opened up the Obuasi Central Market for the very first time 1 week after its closure. The Obuasi Central Markets A and B contributes not less than 1,500 traders. And today the Assembly says it's opened the market on shift basis. Only 500 traders were allowed into the market. And tomorrow, another set of traders, 500, will also be allowed. And then the next day, another 500 will also come back to trade at the market facility, Israel.
Now, Ohiming, one question I want to ask you is, do we know, or the health authorities, have the health authorities been able to establish why Obuasi is accounting for so many of the cases?
They are mentioning a lot of factors. First, they believe the active surveillance measures that they have introduced in Obuasi is also a cause to this. They said that they are doing more testing. Obuasi alone, if you look at the regional figures of over 41,000 plus samples collected over the period, Obuasi alone, as at the last time I checked, has collected 4,900 samples. So it means that the more tests they conduct, or the more samples that they collect from the people, the more positive cases the area records. And then they are also talking about a lack of public support, public apathy, and the fact that there's this misconception about the public that the COVID-19 is not prevalent. At the time that, parts of Ghana, Ashanti, and then Greater Accra were under lockdown, there were high expectations that Obuasi probably would have been locked down. But that is when officials say people were adhering to social distancing protocol. But when the lockdown measures did not affect Obuasi, then the people relaxed to the extent that when you go to the market, the central markets A and B, the place was crowded. People were lumped up in the facility, forcing authorities to close down the facility. And then on the streets of Obuasi, the people were reluctant to put on their nose masks at the time that the presidency has announced this mandatory wearing of nose masks. and every district assembly was enforcing this particular protocol. But in Obuasi, the story was different. So the authorities believe that all these are contributing factors to the reaction or the spread in COVID-19 in Obuasi.
All right, thank you very much, Oheming, bringing us that update, the live update from Obuasi. Back to you, Aisha, in the studio.
And the World Health Organization has elevated the regulatory status of Ghana's Food and Drugs Authority to level 3, the second highest in the 4-tiered classification. Ghana becomes only the second country in Africa after Tanzania to attain the level 3 status. WHO Country Director Dr. Nima Kimambo announced the elevation at a brief ceremony in Accra today, where letters confirming the reclassification were presented to the FDA through the Health Ministry.
I deem it a great honor to be part of this memorable occasion and to make a few remarks on the official announcement of Ghana FDA's achievement of regulatory maturity level 3. There are 4 levels of regulatory systems maturity, starting from level 1, where only some elements of regulation exist, and up to 4 corresponding to the advanced regulatory system. The level 3 indicates that the system is well functioning and integrates all required elements to guarantee its stable performance. Benchmarking of medicine's regulatory system is part of the WHO program for regulatory system strengthening. It identifies strengths as well as areas for improvement, after which a plan that is called an institutional development plan is developed, building on strengths and addressing areas for improvement. Evaluations of Ghana Food and Drugs Authority, the national regulatory body for medicines, was carried out starting in 2014, 2015, and later in 2019, using the WHO Global Benchmarking Tool.
Minister Kwekwajiman Meno praised the FDA for its hard work in attaining this significant feat.
Let me first of all congratulate the board chair, FDA CEO, and your team, and the entire FDA setup for this achievement. I wouldn't use the word miraculous because you worked for it. It is not a miracle. You planned, strategically implemented your plans, and got where you are. Government support in terms of investment had come. And when you invest and you don't get equal rewards, or a reward that is even bigger than the investment that you have made, we call it a loss in business. This time around, FDA, you didn't cause us any loss. You have given us value that will transcend across Africa, not only in country here.
FDA Chief Executive Mimi Daku says the FDA has already set its sights on attaining the level 4 regulator status.
This process started in March 2019, and it took us 1 year to get to where we are. Ghana FDA has over the years strived to attain the highest quality standards by making positive changes to improve our regulatory systems and services. And so we agreed that benchmarking against ourselves was not what we wanted to do, but we wanted to be benchmarked against the world, not just Africa, but the world. And that was only to ensure that as an agency, we are comparable to the most effective and the best regulators in the whole world. Having a strong and effective regulatory system plays an important role in assuring the quality, safety, and efficacy of medicines and all medical products in any jurisdiction, not just Ghana. So why should the FDA be different? And so we benchmarked with the best of the best, and we have done and made top marks today. This was not just a one-day achievement, and it will not be a one-day result. We are going to ensure that we take the benchmarking from today until the rest of the time. This benchmarking will also better equip the FDA to play its key role in promoting development of both the local industry, both orthodox and traditional medicine industry. And also, by doing so, we do that when we have oversight and when we support the industry to produce the best quality medicines that can contribute to improving the health and saving lives, being assured of the right quality. We will keep working hard to continuously improve our systems and services and our products, not just as a country, but within the Africa Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Initiative, which seeks to promote health and improve health and to support the success of health through good quality and efficacious medicines. We are proud to be the second country in Africa to achieve this status, and probably the 50th or 51st in the world.
And still to come in this bulletin, Health Minister makes a strong case for the speech, which says a speech is silver and silence is gold.
So many of us are talking unnecessarily. If you don't need to talk, don't talk.
And also in this bulletin, if you did not know that spreading fake news could land you in jail, watch out after we return from this break.
Corona is not killing Ghanaians, and it will not kill any Ghanaian. Why? Because they be amunum soboro. That was a silly thing I did, and I regret it so much.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime Time now for business. Sandra Penny is here with the very latest. Hi,
yes,
Sandra.
Aisha, a world of COVID-19, everything we know by now, industry is struggling. The advertising industry in Ghana here badly hit, and that's what we'll be discussing.
So
in
many layoffs here and there.
Right?
Take it away, Sandra.
All right. So we are celebrating 25 years of Joy. My name is Sandra Esinamakan. As always, I'm here for business. Now, fellows, cuts, layoff. The advertising industry is one of the hardest hit by the global pandemic COVID-19. Some advertising giants are already developing strategies to deal with the impact of the deadly pandemic. Here in Ghana, the advertising industry is struggling, and we may see cost cutting and less of public announcements if the situation persists, as over 50% of employees in the sector are already out of job. CEO of the Ghana Advertisers Association, Francis Dazi, has been speaking to Joy Business.
I think that one of the key things is that as contracts are being cancelled, you have employees on our payroll who have been on the payroll prior to that. So we are looking at a situation where even from now, from January to now, we can say about 60% of employees have to be at home, and that is multiplied into contracts that have been cancelled. I think that we have majority of our contracts were put on hold as a result of the lockdown. And so, therefore, people had to do activities and communicate out there for their services and products to be patronized. But if the people cannot move out to do that, then there was no point. And so, once clients are also canceling those budgets and for the year because they don't know what the situation will be like, it has a multiplier effect on businesses. So, employees have been sent home now. I'm talking about 80% of our employees now have been sent home, because we cannot sustain the business on that. And so that is the sad truth of it. And that is translating, I'm talking about lost about over 100 million within this short phase of time in terms of revenue to the advertising industry. We're hoping that as an industry and association, we can access the stimulus package to be able to come back. But the fact of the matter is that if it is not, we don't have, because we earn revenues, majority of our revenue is from adverts that we place on the media channels and earn commissions on them.
How about the digital space? How are you guys looking at, cashing in that area?
It is not everyone that is savvy enough and to be able to cash in the digital space. It will take some time. Let's look at the digital penetration. How far or how robust is our telecom system in terms of people having access even to data and things like that? How many people can afford the level of data that is a cost of data to be able for you to reach out to them?
So how are marketing's biggest companies bracing for a downturn? Let's take a look at some measures that have been taken or adopted by some companies worldwide to mitigate the impact. And we begin with a creative transformation company, which is the WPP, and the company has so far confirmed closure of retail media agency Triad, redundancy and furlough decisions being made at the agency and not holding company level, and leadership team taking 20% pay cuts in second quarter, and around 3,000 senior leaders have already adopted this cut. And then employees making more than $300,000 will have their pay cut by 20%, and those making less, for between $200,000 and $300,000 will have 20% cut, and 15% cut for those making less than $100,000 and then $200,000 pay cut. And then when we move on to the other one, we go to Omnicom, which is the next company we want to have a look at, and they have also laid off, and then across many of their agencies. And then agency leadership encouraged to also resort to some furlough rather than permanent reductions. Okay, so we still have the WPP on the screens, but the next one, if you can take a look at it shortly, that is the Omnicom company. As I said earlier, they are also laying off across many of their agencies, and then leadership encouraged also to resort to furloughs rather than permanent reductions, freezing new hires and salaries, reduction in the number of freelance hires, and then foregoing award shows and industry events across the country. Then we move on to the next company. They've also put on some measures. That's the Interpublic Group, that's the IPG. They have also top level are taking voluntary salary reduction, steps taken among agencies to include redundancies, and then some companies also in New York are earning more than 60 employees who are earning more than $60,000 are also asked to take a pay cut of 10%. So that's it. And when you go to the public, it's also the same similar thing, implementing about 500 million pounds cost reduction plan, and then redundancies, freelance costs also cut entirely, freezing of highs, and then also cutting shareholders' dividends by 50% and laying permanent workers until the end of September. So away from the advertising industry, the Ghana Chamber of Mines says it is burdened with several taxes on the price of diesel, affecting their competitiveness in the global gold market. Energy sector levy, recovery levy, and price stabilization levy are expected to be cut off to reduce the cost of diesel for mining companies, since they pay upfront in dollars. Odilia Ntimwa has been engaged, CEO of the Chamber of Mines. Suleiman Akoni.
More than 2 months since Ghana got its first coronavirus case, several companies in the global value chain have been affected either positively or negatively. The gold sector, though, has seen a substantive rise in price owing to its store of value, with a current price at $1,700 an ounce. The sector is struggling, however, to send goods to buyers. Now, companies will have to send gold on chartered flights at a high cost.
For good reason, the airports have been shut. So an alternative which the companies have actually engineered is to look at chartered flights, and I think that is working pretty well.
The sector for years has also been paying for fuel at high costs owing to certain taxes, energy sector recovery levy, and the price stability levy are but a few.
If you look at the pricing for diesel, it's so padded with lots of levies and taxes, and it makes us quite uncompetitive. We have member companies who have operations not just in Ghana, but they even have within the sub-region, and even in countries which are landlocked, where you expect the price of diesel for the earth-moving equipment to be much higher because of double handling and so on and so forth. Their prices tend to even be lower. So naturally, you would want to start asking questions and drilling down to find out why you have such a situation. And it boils down to the taxes and levies which are actually slapped on the price of diesel to the mines.
Still related to the sector, the CEO of the Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Okoni, also wants government to review the 9% royalties which ends up in the various communities to 30%.
We've had a situation over the years in this country where the plowbacks don't get to the communities. And even if they get there, sometimes 2 years late, sometimes 3 years late. And it goes in such an ad hoc fashion that the agents of development in the communities, i.e. the assemblies, the district assembly, the municipal assemblies, cannot plan with these revenues.
Ghana operates more than 16 large-scale mines with more than 900 small-scale miners.
For the first part of business, my name is Sandra Esenamaka. I'll be back after 8 p.m. where we have more business news update. But up next is Sports with Gary Smith.
Just gone by was Sandra Penu, who spoke about the effects of COVID-19 on the Advertising Association in Ghana. Also, today, we have to look at the Ghana Football Association and the Golf Association, who we are told have presented proposals to the government on a potential easing approach which could still protect the population so that they can start their respective sports. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah mentioned this at today's COVID-19 press conference.
As we've been hinting, government has commenced a series of engagements with stakeholders to examine potential post-restrictions measures that will ensure safety of citizens while allowing for some level of normalcy in daily activities. You would recall that from the 15th of March, the government of Ghana has imposed and subsequently amended various restrictions aimed at protecting the population and at the same time allowing economic activity to proceed. Government envisages that in the coming weeks, it will need to outline a gradual plan for a post-restrictions era. Pursuant to this, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has commenced engagements with various stakeholders on safety measures that can allow an easing of the restrictions without compromising the health of the population. The sports community, in particular football and golfing, have also submitted proposals on potential easing approaches which could still protect the population.
So, as the GFA have sent a proposal, let's remind ourselves of how and why football was cancelled in the first place. According to the GFA President, Kedu Kraku, the cancellation of football, should it happen, will be based on government's advice following the data and the science.
We'll continue to work closely with government and the health ministry to see what the turnout would be given considered circumstances within Ghana and beyond the shores of Ghana. Beyond the shores of Ghana, I'm talking about FIFA. However, if we are to cancel the league, it will be another challenging period for clubs, for players, for referees, and all active participants of the sport.
As you know, if you've been watching Joy News Prime, Germany are one of those blazing the trail for a return, and they are back this weekend. When football was suspended in Germany, there were 25 matches played. So match day 26 returns this weekend. Let's see what the fixtures look like in the Bundesliga. Dortmund will be playing Schalke, RB Leipzig play Freiburg, Hoffenheim host Hertha Berlin, Düsseldorf play Paderborn, Augsburg play Wolfsburg, Frankfurt play Mönchengladbach. Those are on Saturday. And then we have more fixtures. On Sunday the 17th, FC Cologne versus Mainz, Union Berlin versus Bayern Munich. Monday we'll see Werder Bremen play Bayern Leverkusen. This is what the table was like before COVID-19 rudely interrupted. Bayern were top with 55 points. Dortmund were second with 51. Leipzig were third with 50 after leading the table for a while, if you recall. Mönchengladbach had 49 on fourth and Leverkusen 47 on fifth. Schalke, Wolfsburg, Freiburg and Hoffenheim were in that. In the relegation bracket, we had Düsseldorf, Bremen, and Paderborn in that order. That's the sport for now. Thank you for joining us on Joy Prime. For Joy News, when we come back, we have a Zoom call and a rather special discussion. I'm Gary L. Smith. Thank you for your time.
And it's time for Showbiz. Becky is here. Yo.
Oh, yo. Share. Aisha Cappuccino. How you doing?
I'm good. You've taken a cup of cappuccino already?
Yes, I did.
You need one because it really keeps you going. Yes. And you know I'm the queen of cappuccino. You know that.
Now that's your name. Queen of Cappuccino. Aisha, today let's talk about the best rapper in Africa. Who do you think could be the best rapper in Africa?
Well, Sarkodie is not doing bad, but I just can't bet on him. I don't know the rest. Okay. I don't know how they perform.
So Flokin Stone says that he is the best rapper in Africa, not in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, I don't know the ones who are going to be voting, but I tip.
Oh no, he's not actually.
Yeah, I'm saying that if there's a vote, I mean, he's telling himself. But if there's a vote for
he's
the
actually
best,
telling us.
Okay.
So
then we hear.
But speaking of rap and beef in the music industry, the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Arts, Barbara Otindi-Gyesi, she says that the women beefing in the industry should rather channel their energy to promoting good things, positive things about women, rather than insulting and all of that.
I think that call is timely.
That is unfortunate. We may be in an industry which thrives on showbiz and acting sometimes out of the norm and all that. But we should also be cognizant of our cultural background and the fact that we are women. And as women, we are expected to project ourselves in a certain way. And that impacts our younger generation. So for our women artists, I will plead with them. There are so many ways that you can project yourself positively and still make the impact that you need in the industry. You don't need to become notorious in the negative sense, you know. So I'll urge them. We are women. Let's project all that is positive about womanhood and carry along our young women with us, because you are icons in the industry and you make a lot of impacts on the youth.
So I think it's really a good advice that they say positive things about women. I mean, that would go a long way to help us rather than just the insults.
Yeah, let's talk about Adjeti and an actor, the best actor ever, apart from Prince David Osei and Van Veka. Oh, let me just not talk about. But he is saying that he believes that the movie industry will get back on its feet, right after the corona. So when a lot of people are expecting that the movie industry will die, but he is positive that they will get back
on their feet.
Yeah.
I believe strongly that the industry will bounce back. I think that this period has offered us opportunity to think deep, to find ways in creating, works on various online platforms to really sustain interest and keep our audiences entertained. And I believe that once we're hopefully back into mainstream activities, and this new aspect will be an added on into our works, and therefore preparing us for the future. I think that yes, some work has been done, but a lot more can be done, and I'm not laying this at the foot of any individual or organization or government. I think that it's a collective responsibility. We all must put in our quota to keep on reminding first ourselves, being responsible for ourselves first and foremost, and therefore also reminding each other of the need for us to observe the laid down guidelines and restrictions for us to be able to overcome this pandemic. So, yeah.
Award-winning actor Adjeti and Aisha.
And that'll be it for sure.
The 27-year-old man accused of physically abusing his 3-year-old son has pleaded not guilty. Kumasi Circuit Court, presided over by Patricia Mponsa, granted the accused bail, citing the coronavirus pandemic as reason for not remanding him. The accused allegedly whipped his 3-year-old son with a belt and cable wire, leading to the child's hospitalization. Erastus Asaridonko was in court in our report.
News of the abuse and pictures of Junior's injuries generated public outcry. Ebenezer Osebunsu pleaded not guilty to charges of assault and causing harm. His lawyer, Samuel Amufakudia, prayed the court to grant bail and give him a chance for reform. Prosecution, led by Inspector Regina Oparibia Mwako, objected to the application, saying the child and his mother's life would be threatened. The court, however, cited the coronavirus pandemic as a factor to grant bail in the sum of 50,000 cedis with 3 sureties to be justified.
Inside the car,
Mother of the 3-year-old abuse victim was unhappy about the decision. Her brother spoke to Love News. Family and lawyer for the accused are already talking psychiatric evaluation for him. Here is Uncle Mr. Franklin and Counsel Mr. Amufakudia.
Well, we think it's a victory for democracy that they are being given a chance to, being able to reassess himself and see the incident and then think over what happened. And there is also opportunity for us to find a doctor to, evaluate him psychologically and see what really happened or what's behind what he did.
And I sympathize with her because as a mother, if you see the scars at the back of that little boy who could pass for my nephew or my child, I sympathize with her, but it's just the police question statement. They said he admitted it. In the cell, whilst in the dock, he pleaded not guilty, and that is what I'm moving with. To me, needs psychiatric examination. Why? Because the questions, the interactions I had with him leaves much to be desired. And I don't know, maybe I'll fall on you or anybody out there who can assist that with psychiatric assistance, because to me, he's not the one, he is not in the right frame of mind to even admit or accept what is going on now. I don't want to say he's pretending. I will leave that to an expert who would examine him, medical psychiatrists who would examine him for us to know.
Insanity in court?
When we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. Because insanity is only the High Court that can declare somebody insane. I cannot. So once we get to that bridge.
Will you call for a psychiatric evaluation?
Sure. If it's going to help our cause, why not?
Trial is expected to resume on the 21st of this month. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
President Akufo-Addo is scheduled to Kasord on Friday for work to begin on the abandoned 47-year-old maternity block at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. The almost 1,000-bed maternity and child health block started in 1974 was to help deal with the serious congestion of the existing facility. The neglect of the project attracted public outcry after Joy News' special assignment documentary Next to Die, produced by Seth Kwame Boateng, highlighting how scores of babies and mothers were dying at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital due to congestion. Seth Kwame Boateng, in the following report, takes us on a journey about how it all began.
Lives were being lost on a daily basis as a result of congestion here at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Ghana's second biggest teaching hospital.
Yeah, our mortality rates are around 20%, which means that a fifth of the babies who come in will end up dying. So that would try maybe on a bad day we can lose 6-7 babies. We've had days when we've lost as many as 10 in a day.
These heart-wrenching statistics from Dr. Jikua Planjru, head of the hospital's mother and baby unit, were not the only worrying fact about the facility. Expectant mothers also had their share, according to the former head of the gynecology unit of the hospital, Professor Bafu Opoku.
In 2012, we had 152 deaths. Mothers. 2013, 126. 2014, 108. 2015, 102. And last year was 91.
All these were as a result of congestion. Congestion that made women in labor join queues and each wait her turn to give birth.
Some of them will deliver in the corridors. And it's not the best because you have to be in a particular position to ensure effective, safe delivery. So assuming the woman is standing and the baby just drops onto the ground, apart from the baby sustaining injuries, the mother will also sustain what we call genital tract injuries.
This same congestion meant doctors and nurses at the mother and baby unit had to put up to 4 babies in one cot or incubator.
Each of these babies is carrying his own set of bacteria, and then they are sharing. They are passing them on to one another.
How dangerous is that?
Baby may come in with, your baby may come in with one infection, and then just as he's getting well and he's about to go home, he picks another one from his cot mate, and sometimes baby, as I said, babies can die of infections very easily.
A few meters away from where these avoidable deaths were being recorded was the perceived panacea to the congestion. An almost 1,000-bed maternity and child health unit started in 1974 but had been abandoned. This didn't sound right.
Need not play politics with our health, and in particular this building, because all the governments have come and gone. None has been able to just finish this to take care of the people who go and queue to vote for them every year, especially our mothers and children, who make up the largest population of this country, besides the men.
These concerns triggered the Next to Die documentary, which was first broadcast on 13th March 2017. This documentary shook people in Ghana and beyond, and it made many people angry at the reality of mothers losing their babies after 9 months of pregnancy.
And we sincerely apologize you're having to relive this rather sad experience. This is third time referral to Komfo Anokye, and the experience is almost the same.
The public discourse on the blatant neglect of this facility continued for weeks, and this compelled President Akufo-Addo to visit the hospital to obtain first-hand accounts of the situation. It was Saturday, 1st April 2017, and this is what he wrote in the hospital's visitor's book. I am very distressed at what I have seen here today. It is not to the credit of our nation that an important hospital project, Cath Maternity Block, should stand 44 years uncompleted. We have to do something about it, and I intend to do so. Contractors who were working on the project had told Joy News about $75 million was needed to complete the project. They could finish the project in 2 years. These 2 years waiting period meant more deaths, so the multimedia group and the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo had to intervene and raise approximately $2 million to construct an emergency ultra-modern maternity and mother and baby unit in a record time of 6 months.
I saw drawings of it, but I didn't know this is how it would turn out. I'm really amazed and overjoyed at what I see today.
And indeed, this facility helped to significantly improve the situation, save lives. But to further reduce the deaths, the abandoned 47-year-old building needs to be completed. Government has secured 2 credit agreements from the Deutsche Bank and the UK Export Finance, totaling €155 million to continue the project. Parliament approved this loan on 12 April 2019. All is set now for work to start on the facility, and on Friday, 15th May, President Akufo-Addo will cut sword for work to continue on the project. The chief executive of the Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hineba Owusu-Danso, says this would be the best gift the hospital would have ever received.
The fact that it is a facility within the center of Ghana that offers
some unique specialized services that most regions don't have. The entire 5 regions in the north, their referrals come to us, even including central region. So we need that facility to actually expand. In fact, where we are, as I've always indicated, the Accident and Emergency Center in Confanachi Hospital is almost always full. It's all because we are getting referrals here every minute, every hour, because of the lack of facilities in all the regional areas that I have just indicated. And therefore, we need to have a very good space to transfer the patients out of the emergency area beyond their emergency care. And that is why the incoming project is very, very critical.
Well, from the Multimedia Group, we would want to thank you all for helping us push this agenda for better health for the mothers and babies in and around the Ashanti region.
Now, in other news, if you have any doubts that spreading fake news could land you in trouble with the law, the next story should clear that doubt. A 24-year-old Bless Amadogba is behind bars pending his trial for disseminating fake news on social media and inciting the public to commit crime. What exactly did he do? He recorded a video which he shared on social media saying coronavirus is not real and that the lockdown instituted by government was a ploy to enable the installation of 5G mobile technology. Nicholas Eko Yamwa has the rest of the story in today's episode of Joy News series titled Combating Fake News.
Corona is not killing Ghanaians, and it will not kill any Ghanaian. Why? Because they be amunum soboro. Miwa hibiscus. You're always drinking hibiscus flowers. That's soboro. Miwa ginger bebrebe amudiru, garlic bebrebe amudiru. Corona be any attack him. That's
24-year-old Bless Ahmededbe making claims in a recorded video of himself inciting the public to defy the stay-home presidential directive aimed at halting the spread of coronavirus in Ghana. In the said video, which was made during Ghana's 3-week lockdown period, Bless claimed the directive to stay at home was a hoax and he planned to install 5G cables in the affected areas. Those 5G cables, he claimed, were meant to kill Ghanaians.
Tokro na ye tutu eden tokro. Wa dwe ka say e pipeline, you show wa be fe mu bua. E 5G network. Unwa de na e 4, baku 4 say. E no mo di shemu, me bua. So, that is 5G network. And no and e ku nkofo no corona nko obia.
Bless Ahmededbe was also seen in the video inciting the public to rise up against national authority.
Munjin Ghana for munjin. Me see, muntisi krom, mu amuodro, munkoji edo no nhye police ni buwa bonfi otuwetu adoje no na bunu na kuno because Nana Akufo-Addo onim de oye obeso okuye nyina ye mane nyina bewu mun bie mu enim 5G no eno na Akufo China eno na Akufo America.
The claims Bless make in this video are untrue. Ghana Health Service statistics show coronavirus has killed 24 Ghanaians. It has been scientifically proven that 5,408 have been infected so far. Statistics from several sources, including the World Health Organization, show that coronavirus has killed 297,003 people across the world. The actions he's inciting people to take are also criminal. All over the world, it is not uncommon to see such videos largely full of untruths and misinformation with the potential of swaying minds and impacting behaviors negatively. Well, whilst many feel invincible on social media, Bless was struck down by the national security operatives who came across the video. He was arrested on Tuesday, charged with false communication and assault on public officer contrary to Electronic Communications and Criminal and Other Offences Act. He was put before the Accra Circuit Court 4 and remanded. Bless Ahmededbe has been explaining his actions after his remand. He claims the video was meant for a skit on his personal YouTube channel but went viral.
The motive behind the video actually, because that is not even the video I was coming to do, but that is the acting part of it, what is on the net. So I just tried to let them go off it, like that is not the right way, but I have to do it in a funny way. That was my motive, because I just want my channel to also blow. I pick all those informations so that after doing the first video, which is out right now, after doing it, then I'll now edit just like how Teacher Kojo does this one. It is something new that I'm doing. The channel is even new. My channel is a new channel. I don't have subscribers. So that was what I did. Because even on my channel, I know it will never go viral. Because it's a new channel, no subscribers. I don't have likes. The highest I had was 4.
The Mamobi-based private security guard says he regrets his action and has an advice for people who spread fake news and misinformation, especially in these times of global health crisis.
The only thing I'll tell anybody who wants to, first of all, venture into YouTube and all those things, you know, right now, what I regret is what I used to advise. I get it. I wish I had waited to get enough money to get all the assets I needed. But I did a mistake. That's why the whole editing was not out before the video itself is going. That's my mistake. That was a silly thing I did, and I regret it so much. I wish the video never went viral.
The court presided over by His Honor M.E. Isando has adjourned the case to 22nd of May 2020. On that day, Bless Amedebe will know his fate, but he will spend the next 9 days and nights behind bars, and no one knows whether the court's decision will keep him there any longer. The claims Bless makes are untrue, and it took a simple click of buttons on his phone. But remember, a click on your mobile phone to spread false news can always be avoided, and so will time behind bars. The WHO says the world is not only fighting a pandemic, but infodemic, which can equally be fatal. Do not be the one to spread misinformation. Most importantly, do not feel invincible. If you spread fake news, you can be tracked down.
Joy News Combat Fake News Project, clearing the blurry lines between fake news and the news.
So here's what the law says about fake news and what constitutes fake news.
Making or sharing fake videos or news is a crime punishable under Ghanaian law. Section 76 of the Electronic Communications Act 2008, Act 775 says, a person who by means of electronic communications knowingly sends a communication which is false or misleading and likely to prejudice the efficiency of life, safety, service, or to endanger the safety of any person commits an offense. On summary conviction, the offender is liable to a fine of not more than 36,000 cedis or a term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years or both. A person is taken to know that a communication is fake or misleading if that person did not take reasonable steps to find out whether the communication was false, misleading, reckless, or fraudulent. Please be reminded of this law before you post or share fake news on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and all other electronic media platforms, as you may be held personally liable for the message you post, forward, or share. Making or sharing fake videos is a crime punishable under Ghanaian law. This message is brought to you by the Operation COVID Safety Committee, Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Information, Ghana Health Service, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Security Governance Initiative Secretariat, Ghana Police Service, Ghana Armed Forces, CSDS Africa, and Food and Drugs Authority.
And to some politics now, the opposition NDC is alleging both the Electoral Commission and the National Identification Authority are scheming to rig the general elections for the governing NPP. NDC Chairman Tamalofu Sampofu says the EC's insistence on making the Ghana card and passport the only requirement for the enrollment of new voters will disenfranchise most of their supporters. Presenting a document to back his claim, he alleged that so far electorates within the party's strongholds were either not registered to get the Ghana card or are yet to receive their cards. He's been addressing the media.
It does appear that the Jim Mensah-led EC, ably supported by the Kenatefa-led NIA, are only interested in rigging the 2020 general elections for President Akufo-Addo and the ruling New Patriotic Party through voter suppression in NDC strongholds. clearly a conspiracy between the EC, NIA, and President Akufo-Addo to rig the 2020 general election. It is the kind of conspiracy that has plunged many a country into chaos and instability. We of the NDC do not wish this for our dear country, hence our constant warnings. The exclusion of the voter ID card from the requirement of registration for the national ID card by the Akufo-Addo-led government was part of a well-calculated scheme to disenfranchise a good number of Ghanaians from acquiring a national ID card, Ghana card, which was to be used subsequently as one of the registration requirements in the new voters register plan they had long hatched.
The party is also alleged that the NIA deployed additional registration kits to capture more electorates within the NPP strongholds.
Considering the figures that have been churned out on the table, it shows that should the Electoral Commission decide to embark on a new voter registration, what it means is that all these people who don't have NIA card will have to either go and swear affidavit or wait until some people are registered and guaranteeing them. An exercise which is going to be clustered and which, according to them, is going to take about 8 days or so. So, in essence, you realize that at the end of the day, several people will be frustrated, will not get the opportunity. And if you look at the figures, you realize that the percentages increases in the NDC strongholds. And it is a very worrying sign that it is a deliberate attempt to suppress votes and ensure that as many people as possible are unable to make themselves available.
The NPP campaign coordinator for the 2020 elections, Peter Mark Menu, dismisses claims that the NPP is the beneficiary of the new electoral roll. He argues NDC is kicking against the new register over fear of losing the elections with their candidate, John Mahama. His confidence the electorate will re-elect Nana Addo based on their sterling performance over the last 3 years.
It is not the fault of any Ghanaian that the NDC chose to bring back as their presidential candidate for 2020 the very man whose hands the NDC suffered their biggest defeat in history. It is not the fault of NPP that the NDC chose to bring back as their 2020 presidential candidate the very same man who gave Ghana the worst economic growth performance since 1994. It is not the fault of President Akufo-Addo that the NDC has very little confidence in their own chosen candidate for the 2020 elections in the person of John Mahama. We do not need the EC to rig an election in our favor. A government that has put 1.3 million children to school, who, if NDC was in power, would be on the streets, does not need an election to be rigged in its favor. A government that has restored industry and is creating jobs for the people does not need an election to be rigged in its favor. A government that has put 100,000 unemployed graduates to work does not need an election to be rigged in its favor.
He maintains that the NPP will win the elections with or without the new register, and also asking the NDC to drop John Mahama if they're convinced he would lead them to defeat.
We call on the NDC to face up to the realities of the time and convince the Ghanaian people why they must bring an inept, clueless, and incompetent Mahama back to power after he ran down the country in the manner that he did. We didn't elect their flag bearer for them. They elected him. If they find that he is an albatross around their neck, they should not be making excuses way ahead of the election in order to justify his loss in December, which is inevitable. We will end by saying that we support the compilation of a new register, but we'll leave the decision to the Electoral Commission to make. However, with or without a new register, the New Patriotic Party is prepared to campaign and win the endorsement of the overwhelming majority of Ghanaian people once again in the next polls, based purely on what we are delivering to protect and improve the lives of the people.
And on technology, with Ghana's COVID-19 cases inching towards 6,000, scientists are emphasizing the need to know the impact of the country's response to the pandemic. That requires development of artificial intelligence to study common patterns among countries and classify them according to the spread of infections. A Ghanaian scientist has lived up to the challenge by developing a technology to determine the country's COVID-19 peak. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with Dr. Mark Amoboateng of the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Sunyani.
I looked at what was happening in Ghana, then I realized that Ghana were part of the group that is still emerging. Okay, so the coronavirus is still rising and hasn't peaked yet. And truly, if you look at Ghana, our cases, we've been doubling our cases almost every week. I think we've been good at that. Every week we try and double our cases. So I wanted to make sure that the AI is not biased. So I went and I looked at the different charts, okay, the data behind the scenes, and I compared it, and probably I'll show you. Ghana was just on the mean in all the countries. We are just following the curve, and it actually proved that we are not there. My name is Dr. Mark Amoboateng. I'm a lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources. I'm also the head for the Earth Observation Research and Innovation Center of the university. AI Country Monitor is to help objectively know what is happening in each country. So since the coronavirus came, there have been a lot of statistics. People have been trying to look at the confirmed cases, the recovery rates, and the number of deaths. But each country is unique. The dynamics are unique. But I realized that since it's a pandemic and we are humans, we might respond in some unique ways. So the best thing was to try and look at patterns within it. And since everything was difficult, I tried to, okay, let me see if I can use AI, artificial intelligence, to analyze the data that is coming and try to group the countries together. So that's why I did. So I developed an AI, and it was looking, as of now, just looking at the confirmed cases. And by looking at the confirmed cases, it's grouping the countries into three. Okay, so those that are emerging, that is the coronavirus, is still rising, it hasn't peaked yet. Those that are at the peak and they are able to control it, and those that have overcome the coronavirus itself. So that's the three things, and it's an automatic process. So what is that? It updates itself every 24 hours. But since not much changes happen, I decided to just push the updates every week. The AI pulls data from the GitHub, that's of the Johns Hopkins University. They compile data from World Health Organization and other sources, and they update it, I think, once a day. So the AI pulls the data, then it pre-processes it and analyzes the patterns within the data, looking at the past 100 days. Then it compares it to what is happening over the training period. Then based on that, it tries to classify by probability what each country is doing. So that's basically how it does it.
The old saying, speech is silver and silence is gold, gained greater currency when the Health Minister Kweku Agyeman addressed Thursday's COVID-19 news conference. We bring you sound bites of him admonishing Ghanaians to keep mute to stop the spread of the novel coronavirus.
So many of us are talking unnecessarily. And if you are infected, you open your mouth and the virus comes out. So again, if you don't need to talk, don't talk. Especially when you don't have the mask. They are telling us that we shouldn't even laugh, especially when you don't have the mask. So those of us who come out just to a chat, to sit somewhere and do kokonsa, why can't we stay at home? HIV/AIDS came. We have never been able to take it off.
So keep quiet if you don't have anything to say to help control the spread of the virus. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. When we come back, business. Welcome back to business, and we begin from the Ashanti region, where business operators in Muslim communities have been badly hit by suspension of this year's Eid festival due to COVID-19. Dealers in clothing, cosmetic and other beauty products, as well as tailors and dressmakers, are recording virtually no sales in an otherwise windfall season. Nana Senso Mensa has the rest of the story.
So it's left with some few days for the holy month of Ramadan to end. On a normal day, businesses within the Muslim-dominated communities take their peak. But now the story is different.
Here at Aswanse, almost all the shops sell Muslim clothes and accessories. Operators normally expect businesses to peak for high sales in the last 10 days of the holy Ramadan month of fasting. The story, however, is different and one of gloom this year. Ibrahim Abubakar is owner of this shop. He sells wrappers and fabrics.
Last previous weeks, we've been trying, like they are buying one, you understand. But the moment the president announced that we can't do the distance, Salah, so the distance has stopped. Nobody is coming for it again.
Just across the street is a fashion designer shop. It employs over 20 designers who sew for hundreds of clients. These empty seats here are supposed to be occupied by designers who have been asked to stay home because of the drastic dip in sales.
So, since morning, look, if it is last year, by now we are sleeping inside the store because of the job. But this year, look at our store. It's empty. Nobody even carry their goods, even children. Their parents will come. All this one that you are seeing that we are doing is for those who can afford. You understand me? If not, nobody came. So we are suffering.
Players in the value chain are suffering same fate. The situation here at one of the biggest boutiques in Aswanse is no different. Hajia Ramatu complains she's had to shelve more than half of her stock as expectations to make big sales is now a mirage.
Last year and this year,
no, comparing to last year to this year, the business is not going on.
Among female youth, one hardly celebrates the Eid without plaiting their hair. These hairstylists have not received any clients since last Monday, a situation they say is a direct opposite of what happened in previous years.
Those people who came here to come and plait their hair, they are not coming because of their sickness. We don't have, the customers refuse to come.
Uncertainties about when the COVID-19 pandemic will be over has really compounded the impact on commerce, trade, and social life. Every facet of businesses, especially those who operate within the Muslim-dominated areas, have really felt the pinch of the pandemic.
Chief Executive of the Petroleum Commission has allayed fears the coronavirus outbreak is going to derail oil and gas production in the country. According to Egbert Fibil, none of these companies operating in Ghana's upstream sector has been hit with a case of the pandemic. He attributed this to the safety protocols being adhered to by these companies. He made this known as the Commission took delivery of some solar-powered hand-washing machines to reduce further spread of the disease.
Cities around the world are reeling under the effects of COVID-19. While some companies have had to lay off its workers, others are cutting down on production output as a means of staying afloat. The petroleum sector is no exception, prompting fears among industry watchers that this may affect the petroleum sector and to a large extent its output. CEO of Ghana's Petroleum Commission, Egbert Fabiel, says measures are in place to ensure the sector is not affected.
So far, I'm able to report that the companies, you can mention the Talos, the ENIs, the Yensens, the Modex, they operate the FPSOs and what have you. No reports of COVID has come to us from there. And I think that it is because the companies have taken the issues very seriously and are following the protocols. They've gotten the reports that we have, the interactions we have with them. There's no effect on production. Production is on course.
The Commission took delivery of some solar-powered hand-washing machines to reduce further spread of the disease. He says they are putting measures in place to ensure the safety of its workers.
I must say that so far, so good. Petroleum Commission, we are rotating staff. We all kinds of. The Public Services Commission has also given certain directives which we are following. And so far, like I said, so good. There's no cause for alarm.
The solar-powered hand-washing machine with its motion sensors prevents its users from having direct contact with any of its parts. Here is a co-founder of Magnifico Solutions.
It has a 250 megawatt solar panel on the roof. It has lithium batteries, 100 amps lithium batteries. It has a water pump that pumps water, 5 liters of water in a minute. The SunSync is a touchless wash-on system with a sensor tab, whereby when you reach out close to the sensor tab, the water automatically starts coming without touching the taps.
Egbert Fabiel further called on other entities to support Made in Ghana products.
In more business news tonight, healthcare professionals and frontline personnel without tax identification numbers could have their reliefs delayed. That's according to the Acting Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Amishadai Owusu-Amwa. Government recently announced several reliefs for frontline health workers and was expected to take effect from April this year. Here is a teaser of what to expect on tonight's business edition of PM Express.
If your employer has done the payroll and passes you through it, automatically by the time you get your salary, then these incentive will have already been applied, and therefore you don't expect that you pay the tax. So basically that is the way it's going to work. But some of the things that we have put in place, we have to use this opportunity also to make sure that people have the TIN numbers. There are still some employees who don't have TIN numbers.
What will happen to them? Because per the directive, they are supposed to benefit. So
we'll encourage them. In fact, we insist that you should have to make sure you have a TIN number, because currently we have also put together a system that allows you to be able to get the TIN number and in a very short time.
And I'll be coming to that. So what is the process? For instance, George Yafe is a medical doctor at Kolebu. I don't have a TIN and I'm supposed to benefit. Is there a process that I can quickly register for the TIN and then benefit from this?
You can go online. There are two options that we have for quick registration. You can go online, and when you go online, even when you go to our website, you will see the link there.
Anyone or a business that has donated towards the COVID-19 fund.
Beginning, and there are a number of such plans that our Corporate and Public Affairs Department have put together to make sure that we communicate effectively to the general public.
I've seen a lot of donations flying around left, right, center in supporting COVID-19. So let's just say a George Yafe and Co. I make a donation of about 1 million Ghana cedis to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. What is going to happen to me?
I think what we require is the evidence that you have done the donation. And so you need to get the recipient to acknowledge the fact that you have done the donation. And then we also require that you also write to us and indicate the donation that you have done, how much you have done, and then the type of items that it covers. So once we identify all these things, then we'll approve for the exemption. It doesn't need to go through any other process. It just comes to the Ghana Revenue Authority, for that matter, to the Commissioner General for the approval.
Interview aired tonight, 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel and also on channel 421 on DSTV is the business edition of PM Express. And crude oil sold today for $30.92 a barrel. Precious mineral gold went for $1,732.09 an ounce. The market figures are up next. On Business Tonight, my name is Sandra Estin. I'm up in this more news on myjoyline.com/business. Thanks so much for watching. Stay home, stay safe, and stay beautiful.
Welcome to the second hour of the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. We begin with the news that the personal assistant to the Minister of Youth and Sport, Kofi Asare-Brackun, has admitted that the outfit owe former Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah and that they are keen on paying him. The ministry and the GFA must cough out $185,000 for Appiah, whose contract was not renewed after last December. Asare-Brackun explains why the amount hasn't yet been paid.
The nation has done Kwesi Appiah a lot of good. Now let me come here. You know, for close to about 24 months, we've been constantly paying Kwesi Appiah for 24 months. His contract would have expired in April last year. April last year. But at the time we were going to the Nations Cup. So ideally, any person in power at the time, at the FA, could have said that, okay, let me give you 3 months extension. Okay. That could have expired maybe after July, when the tournament is over. And if you're able to win the cup for Ghana, you are kept as the head coach. If you fail, then because there was a clause in the decision that you have to go and win the Nations Cup, you couldn't win. So it is up to those in power to say that you couldn't win. So we are parting ways with you. But in the circumstance, the contract was extended to December. And just believe that after the Nations Cup in July, we were even booted out, so we could not even sit there till July ending. So what it means is that we have to pay him from that time until December, where there were no active, football. But so we have accepted that we'll pay.
Right, let's move on to other things. And over the period, we have been speaking about European football and African football and how both continents have been reacting to COVID-19 and to restart their leagues. We've left out one influential continent, that has been South America. Today, we'll rectify that error. Now, to remind ourselves, South America is governed by CONMEBOL, and as good as they are, there are only 10 countries in South America's governing body. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia are the 5 to begin with, and then Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Only 10 countries, but they cause so much trouble in the world of football. So, the question is, how have they been dealing with the coronavirus, and how do they look to return like the rest of the world? To give us some perspective on that is South American football analyst Ralph Hanna. Thank you very much for your time, Ralph.
Hey, Gary. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been good having you and speaking to you off air. But first of all, can you give us some insight as to how things have been going on the South American side of things?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, South America has been hit by this pandemic, just like the rest of the world. It took its time to travel west. So around the same time as the US, the South American countries began closing borders and implementing quarantines and lockdowns. And of course, that stopped all professional sports in the region for now. In some countries, they're coming to what would be maybe the peak of the curve, so places like Brazil, whereas in other countries that have maybe managed the situation better, like Paraguay and Uruguay, the cases are beginning to go down and they're slowly returning to normal life.
Great. So now my next question will be that, I mean, we've seen many leagues around the world looking for a restart. Is that the situation in South America?
Yeah, I think the economic situation in South America means a lot of players, they need this income. They're not multimillionaires like the Premier League or the top 5 leagues in Europe, where they could maybe survive this long period. Yeah. Because at the same time, the clubs are unable to pay them. In some cases, there's been support from the local football associations for the clubs to help pay some salaries. Yesterday or 2 days ago, CONMEBOL announced they were going to give, I think it's something like $14 million to the different federations, so they can also help support some of the salary payments. Okay. But from a player's side, in somewhere like Brazil, which has been very badly hit, they did a survey of the players in Sao Paulo, and 62% said they wanted to return to play football because of financial needs. They're worried about the health concerns, but they needed to go back for that. So thinking about that, the teams are certainly with the mindset of going back to trying to play as soon as possible.
Nice one. My final question to you, Ralph, is we've seen in the big European leagues that broadcasting money and broadcasting power is pushing the agenda for football to restart as against health concerns. Is it the same situation in South America also?
I think there's pressure. There's financial pressure, be it from the TV broadcasters or just from the clubs themselves that need to receive some of this TV money to then be able to pay their players. That's kind of the key concern across South America. CONMEBOL came out with some ideas yesterday of how they think the players should take part in the kind of new normal post-pandemic world, but it might not really be practical. There's things like the players will be fined if they spit on the pitch. Yeah. The captains aren't allowed to swap anything pre-game. Players can't change shirts. They want everybody to use their own water bottles. So CONMEBOL is obviously from their end trying to get the leagues in a position where they restart, because there's also pressure on CONMEBOL, the federation, for the Copa Libertadores, which has huge sponsorship and TV rights. So that pressure is definitely there, and they're trying to find ways around it, but it's going to be very complicated, I think, especially until all 10 countries have got past the curve and the peak of the cases.
Nice one. Ralph Hanna, thank you for your time. We appreciate you joining us from Miami.
Thanks, Gary.
Right. So that's the very, very short and sweet version of things, COVID-19-wise, football-wise, from South America. I'm Gary L. Smith, and that's the sport for now. Let's do this again tomorrow, shall we? And thank you.
All right, it's time for Joy News Interactive, and one of the stories we're looking at, or the main story we're looking at, has to do with the story about fake news. So a 24-year-old has been remanded and awaiting trial for disseminating fake news on social media to incite the public to commit crime. Bless Amedegbe is reported to have made claims in a recorded video which he incited the public to defy the imposed restriction directed by the president in curbing the spread of coronavirus in the country. And we had him, we shared that video with you. Now, this has gotten 69 comments and 14 shares. And here are some of the comments that we have. DK Moses says, please, the law and those with the law should use their common sense. That guy cannot incite anyone to disobey the public directives. If politicians cannot divert the course, how can a simple guy like him do that? Well, the law is the law. And if you're spreading fake news and the law grabs you, that's it. The law is going to deal with you. Mohammed De Gago says they should set him free. He hasn't done anything wrong. After all, that's his opinion, and none of us here has ever seen a real COVID-19 patient. It's just a fiction everyone is observing. Set him free, please. Now, this could actually get you into trouble if you're actually saying that there's indeed no coronavirus. So Nana, their reply. So Nana Kobna comes in. Have you watched the video and what he said in it? And then Mohammed comes, whatever he said is his opinion. Boss, his opinion, okay? Ibrahim says, they will come for you. I told you. Mohammed said, let them. That was our motto for AFCON 2008. Kojo says, boss, learn from what has happened, please. The security services can get you if they have to. And Alfred says, no matter what rights you may have, don't forget someone also has left. You don't speak your mind by spreading falsehood. We joke too much in this country. And then Abban comes in and says, when you're poor, make sure you don't breach any laws in Ghana, because it will search for you quickly and find you, and in due time prosecute while Nyantechi and the rest are walking free. All right. So those are some of the comments you shared with us on Facebook.
And of course, you've also been hearing the minister asking you to zip it if you don't have anything to talk about, so that we can all help in controlling the spread of COVID-19. This is what we posted on Facebook, and it's generated quite a number of comments. Let me start with Nee Macmillan. It says, okay, let's be... let's not be harsh in the comments we send. Mami Abna AD says, hey, this one, dear, I'm just hearing it too, that you shouldn't talk or even laugh when you don't have the mask. And Kalista, okay, Marvelous says the minister bore. And Samuel Otu says, that's all. Agbesh Phil says, what? Okay, what a talk. And Yasmin Dauda comes in and just say ha 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 ha. And that'll be it for the interactive segment. That'll also be it for the bulletin. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. I've been doing this with Israel Live.
Yes, with me, Israel I, anchoring from home. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night. PM Express is up next with George Riafi this time.